All right, so Bills-Colts, this will be the first game of the week. It should be fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. I actually think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize. I'm going to break down the whole game in this video. I have been splitting them up, but this one will be one big video, so hope you guys enjoy. Let's just get into why I think this could be closer than people realize, and we got to start off with the Bills offense. So we'll start off with this play. I guess technically we're starting off with the Colts defense, but same thing. How the Bills offense will attack the Colts defense. This is going to be zone coverage, and the Colts are going to play basically zone coverage all day, I think. You'll see a little bit of man here and there. For the most part, they're going to play zone because they just don't have the man-to-man corners to hang with the Bills in that area. So on this play, Pittsburgh is going to be playing a good zone coverage buster right here, where they have a receiver who's going to run underneath. They then have a receiver who's going to run further deep, and one who runs sort of middle, sort of the Goldilocks theory. You have basically three Pittsburgh players who are going to end up all the way to Roethlisberger's left, and the idea is that there will only be two Indianapolis players in that area who can help play coverage. So once this play starts, what you're going to notice is that there is maybe a window further deep, but it's not a wide open window, right? Indianapolis doing a pretty good job of staying further deep, so Roethlisberger can try to fit it through that window, but also you look to Roethlisberger's left, he has a check down wide open. Now, these are always kind of some dilemmas. Do you take a higher risk chance to try and get a first down, or do you take the check down and, get halfway to the first down where you can then try and move from there? It's a first down and 10 right here, so a 2nd and 5 is great. Personally, to me, I think you take the check down here because there isn't a huge window, and Indianapolis the ball skills they have on their defensive players is actually really good. As you see, Big Ben tries to fit it through that window. Could have been intercepted, was definitely a risky play, not a great decision from Roethlisberger, but they kind of force you into that. So really, you are going to have to just be patient against this Colts defense. When they play zone, take the 5-yard gain sometimes. That's what you're going to have to do. And when you catch them in man, like you're going to see on this play, then you have to absolutely take advantage, because for Buffalo, they love to throw deep shots against man coverage. That's what's happening on this play, where it's going to be Chase Claypool who's running a deep route on the top of the screen. It's a one-on-one matchup. There's only one safety deep, so this is definitely an opening right here where potentially this can work out for Pittsburgh. And for Buffalo, if you see this, take this opportunity. Watch, Pittsburgh takes the snap, and they're trying to play man here, but there definitely is an opening, and also the safety kind of crashed in, got a bit out of position, which is an advantage, but now you see that there's an opening for Roethlisberger to make this throw, and he's not going to miss it. He does make a very accurate throw, and quite frankly, that's Claypool and Ben Roethlisberger. If it's Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, it'll have the same result. So Indianapolis, just don't do that. Really, don't do that. When you do play man coverage, have a couple safeties deep, because guys can beat you one-on-one. Don't have an ego about it. Play 2 safeties deep, and for Buffalo, when you see them do that, take advantage. I actually think it would be smart for Josh Allen to just have some sort of plan where he says something if he sees this man coverage with 1 safety deep, and they just take a shot like that where he has Diggs go out wide and run a go route and hope it works out, because those are things you have to take advantage of. While Indianapolis is really good at zone coverage, they can be beat, and I like to have 2 safeties deep, but you can still beat them deep with 2 safeties. You just have to be smart about how you're doing it. This play is a good example where Pittsburgh has a good concept to beat cover 2. They have a receiver who's going to run over the middle, another receiver who runs deep. Typically, the way these things work is that the deep receiver gets covered up by the safety, and then underneath you have, just players in front who can make the play. The issue, though, is that the player who's going to run deep to the zone that's going to be to Roethlisberger's left is lined up to Roethlisberger's right. So when this play starts, you're going to see Tavon Wilson, that's the safety. Watch how far in he is, because he's trying to take away that route over the middle, because he just didn't notice there's actually a deep route in his zone, and now he's in trouble. And again, you got to take advantage of these opportunities. Be aware, realize when opportunities are there, know when to not take shots, and know when to take shots. Oftentimes with 2 safeties deep, I think Allen shouldn't take a shot. If he sees a situation like this, he should. So it's going to be largely dependent on can Allen make the correct decisions. I think he can, but there is that potential that he could make a mistake or two. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't on this one, makes a very accurate throw. It still had to be an accurate throw as well, but again, I trust Allen will make those kind of throws. So now let's flip to Buffalo. How does Buffalo do against a cover 2 zone? Well, actually, weirdly, Miami played a lot of cover 2 zone early, and that surprised me because I was like, man, Miami gave up so many points. How did they give up so many deep shots playing cover 2 zone? And the answer is that, well, they kind of got away from it, but we'll get more into that in a second. Like this one's a good example where you see how this play is supposed to work for Buffalo. They're going up against cover 2. They have a receiver who's going to kind of get in the eye of the storm over the middle of the field. But these plays can be tough to pull off. It's not perfect against the cover 2 zone, and it's not really going to work out here. Allen takes the snap, and you're going to see that it is not open whatsoever. So, there's no separation right over in the middle. Linebacker did a good job of staying deep. Both safeties can make a play. Allen's not going to throw into triple coverage. He's doing the right thing there. And he also knows he has a check down to his left. That's what he wants to throw to. He then gets off that read, does throw the check down quickly, but didn't really look too long before making that throw because he kind of couldn't. It resulted in a good defensive play and an interception. Really, Indianapolis has an incredibly opportunistic defense. They don't necessarily have the best defense in the league, but they might have the most opportunistic. And if they can get a couple of turnovers, that can really go a long way just in terms of being able to win this football game and to pull off the upset. Now, of course, Buffalo can beat zone coverage. I mean, it's not like they're amazing against man and horrible against zone. That's not the case whatsoever. They're just better against man coverage, quite frankly. And I think that there is ways they can beat zone, but it's just a lot slower. So what they're doing here, it's against cover 3 zone. They have a little zone buster where one receiver runs further deep, one receiver runs shallower, but kind of in the same area of the field. So for Miami, it's going to be difficult for, typically you want to have these guys know what they're doing and know, okay, someone covers shallow and someone covers deep when your opposing team has a concept like this, but that's just difficult to do in real time. Allen takes the snap. The deep route gets taken away, but Allen can simply just throw it underneath. And there was actually a good job of, moving after the catch. That was Stephon Diggs. Now you have Diggs with the ball in open space, and he picks up a first down on a play that was really only, supposed to get 5 yards or so. So that's a very similar situation to the Pittsburgh play I showed earlier. And that is a way that the Bills can move down the field methodically. But the issue is that if you're forcing Buffalo to try to have to run 10 plays on each of their drives to get the touchdown, well, then things can go wrong. There can be a holding penalty, there can be a turnover, and that's just kind of the thing is you are kind of picking your poison in a way, but it really is on defense. It's better to get beat slowly than to get beat quickly, and I think that that's the mindset they're going to have. This one's another good example of how Buffalo can beat you when you play zone coverage, where it's going to be a cover 2 zone blitz right here, so it's already a blitz. That's worth mentioning. And Buffalo has another concept that can absolutely work here, where 2 receivers kind of get into the same gap in coverage, but they're just doing it spread out. And so really the hope is that the safety is slow and crashing in, or a defensive back, he has to, the one that's closest to the bottom of the screen, he's going to have to be further in. That's what they're hoping for here. Allen takes the snap, and this is well ran by Buffalo, but also look at how he gets outside the pocket, buys more time, and then they're able to make the throw deep. Now, a couple of things. For one thing, will Allen still be able to scramble against a better defensive line? I still think yes. I think that won't be that big of a difference. I mean, honestly, Miami has done a good job at getting pressure, especially with the blitz, so I don't think that'll be any different. The flip side, though, is I do think that Indianapolis will do a better job of when they play zone, they're a lot more aggressive. I think the safety would have crashed in and not allowed that to be as open, but I still think Allen can make those difficult throws. So that's how they can get some of their explosive plays, and that's how they could potentially move the ball down the field. And one last play to show, this is just going to show what they can do against man coverage. As I said, you don't want them playing man coverage, especially when Diggs is out there. Diggs is really good against man coverage. This is going to be a one-on-one matchup, and there's a ton of space too. Yes, it's a go route, but look at how much space the defensive back is giving here, and that's because they're selling as though it's going to be cover 0. It actually isn't exactly, but it's, it's still going to be a one-on-one matchup deep. Allen takes the snap, and Diggs is going to make a good move here. He fools Byron Jones, who's a really good corner, gets the touchdown in the back of the end zone. Slight correction, that's John Brown. Number was 15, not 14. Didn't see the right number. But, I mean, either way, both of those guys can get those big plays. So that's really the thing, is you got to stay out of man coverage as much as possible, play zone, which they tend to do, keep things in front of you. The Bills are going to beat you from time to time, but I don't think they'll beat you as much as people might expect. I actually think this is a good matchup for the defense, but again, it is still a great offense, and I do think that talent does win out even above matchups from time to time. I think that Indianapolis is going to run the ball a good amount, and they're going to force Buffalo to have to, throw a lot of shorter passes to get down the field. So it'll be a bit of a lower possession game. So I'm going to say that it's only going to be about a 10 possession game. And I'm still going to say that Buffalo is going to score 24 points, which is a bit lower than their season average, but it's not drastically lower than their season average by any means. Their season average is 2.98. This would be 2.4. So it's significant. It's the difference between the third best offense in the league and the 12th best offense in the league. So definitely significant. But that seems right to me because of the matchup. So now let's switch over to the other side of the football. Will Indianapolis be able to outscore Buffalo? Interesting question. Glad you asked, because I happen to have a lot of video content answering that one. So one of the things Buffalo does really well is they can blitz well. They're a very good blitzing team, and that can be an issue for Indianapolis. On this one, Terrell Edmunds is going to be the key guy. He's the one who's blitzing, so he's the linebacker. They have, two defensive players who basically the goal is to get the right guard and the right tackle. They each block those D linemen. Edmunds runs up the middle. Nothing too fancy, but watch how quick Edmunds is going to go here. He's able to so quickly get right through that gap and get the Tua and get the sack right there. That's just difficult to deal with, and if that happens to Rivers, they're going to be in trouble. So Indianapolis is actually a good blitz pickup team, but it's going to be hard to pick up a blitz like that. It just is. Again, that kind of goes back to the matchups thing, where one of the things that Buffalo is really good at is blitzing. That's just one of the things they do well on defense, but Indianapolis can pick it up well. So there is a bit of a matchup thing, but I would be surprised if they don't get at least one sack from a blitz in this one. So let's talk about this play, because while Indianapolis is going to be playing a ton of zone, Buffalo much would rather play man coverage. If they can play man coverage on defense, that's what they like. So kind of flip-flop there, because they can be susceptible to get beat in zone coverage. And this is the play concept that is right out of the Frank Reich playbook. I mean, it's not Frank Reich specific, but he loves to run these types of plays. It's actually an RPO right here where Tua could hand the ball off, or he could throw it to his right. You have a tight end who's going to run underneath, and then a receiver who runs further deep. And you see if you can get a linebacker out of position or a defensive back out of position, you can throw over the top and get an opening. And if not, you just hand the ball off. Tua takes the snap. He decides to not hand the ball off, because as you see, those are the two Indianapolis players that I've circled in black. There's a Miami Dolphin in one of them, but don't worry about that. You see how far off they are. One of them is very far apart from each other because he's covering a Miami Dolphin. The other one got fooled by the play action, by the RPO, so he's over in that direction, meaning there's a wide open window for Tua to make this throw. This is what Indianapolis likes to do, and they can so easily get these smaller plays just as easily as Buffalo can. When it comes to 5 to 10 yard plays, there's going to be just as many for both teams. There just is. Well, I guess I shouldn't say there just is. I should say that seems logical. It seems like that's probably going to be the case. Who knows? Now, Tua actually misses this throw somehow, but again, Rivers isn't going to miss that throw, so I'm less concerned about how the Miami offense did in this game and more concerned about what I saw on defense, and there were some openings. On the flip side for Buffalo, when they play man coverage, they're just tough to beat. I mean, this team can play man coverage with the best of them. That's really been a key thing about their defense. They play man well. This is a good example. Not they play man well, but they play man, well. This is Josh Norman going up against Devontae Parker on the top of the screen, so you would think this is a good matchup. I mean, Josh Norman, what a career turnaround that guy had. We all thought that he was gone, and he's been able to come back. It's actually interesting that both of these teams have corners that we all thought were washed up that have played well. Josh Norman for Buffalo and Xavier Rhodes for Indianapolis. But yeah, it's a cover 2 man. This is the concept that Buffalo is good at, and take a look at what's going to end up happening. This is going to be really good coverage by Norman, even though the ball is caught. I'm more concerned about how the defense played. It actually was a good throw from Tua this time and a good catch from Devontae Parker. And I just don't think that, Parker's one of the best contested catch guys in the league. I don't think Indianapolis has that guy. If Norman plays that kind of coverage against a team like Indianapolis, I just think they're going to struggle. So why not play man all game? Well, because then, quite frankly, Indianapolis will run it down your throat. They have a really good rushing offense, and Buffalo's rushing defense is not that good. It just isn't. While Indianapolis is actually only 11th in terms of yards per game through the run, a lot of that I really do think came from early on in the season. It took them a bit to get their sea legs and get better at it, whereas Buffalo's been mediocre all year. They're not bad at stopping the run. They're just not great at it. And I think Indianapolis now, that is an advantage compared to what Buffalo is going to be able to do. Like right here, this is a good example where you see how this concept is going to work. It's going to be a rush to the right. There will be a double team. Someone gets off the double team to block Edmonds. And then also what they're actually going to do is they're going to have a left guard. It kind of looks like I have Kenyon Drake, the halfback, pulling over. It's the left guard. He's going to pull over and he's going to block 54 right there. That's A.J. Klein, and that's something that's worth mentioning, is that part of why I think the run defense hasn't been as good is simply the fact that they've been without one of their starting linebackers for a good chunk of the season in Matt Milano, and in fact, he actually has come back. He appears to be fully healthy. He did play a little bit, but he was on limited snap counts. Now it appears that he could be on a full snap count. I think for the playoffs, he could be fully back. So that's a clear thing that has to be mentioned. Because watch this play. I mean, you're going to see Klein just get completely knocked out of the way. Edmonds was eventually able to make the play. But the reality is they were able to run it up the gut really well there. And that's something that, with a good rushing offense, I think you can be concerned about if you're Buffalo, is how will this work, even when you have one of your better run-stopping linebackers back in the game. And if we're being honest, Milano is, and again, I might be mispronouncing his name, but 58 for Buffalo. He's not necessarily a god in run defense. He usually specializes in pass defense, so I still think you'll be able to run the ball regardless, but it is an upgrade for sure. Watch, this plays another, I think, good example of just showing what he could do if he's on the field, and they don't have to play a backup in Klein. Because this play, what's going to happen is that I've circled in Arizona, this is actually a tight end, because I've circled him because he's going to completely screw up on this play. I don't know exactly what he thought was supposed to happen, but he's going to end up blocking nobody, which is less than ideal. Watch, he steps aside, he has no one to block, and now you see 97's doing a good job of staying in that gap, saying, hey, I have an opening, I'm going to at least make sure you can't run through here. And 54, Klein, he's following him for some reason. He needs to just get a different gap, and he's getting into that gap because, that's what he was supposed to do pre-snap. But this is just a poor read. Once he realizes something broke down, take advantage of it instead of just doing what you were supposed to do on paper. So it looks silly. There is a reason for it. But again, that's kind of why you want your starters out there. And I do have to say, though, Klein's going to get playing time. Regardless of what you want to say, he's going to get playing time. So, because you can't have, maybe you can try to have two linebackers out there the whole game, but I don't think that's going to happen. That hasn't really happened. He's gotten playing time for just about every game this season. So I think that he probably still will, especially with the injury. And Buffalo can give up yards when they're in zone coverage. They can. It's very easy to run zone busters. Buffalo's not necessarily the best at stopping them. Clearly, this isn't what they wanted to have their offense built around, their defense built around, and that could be good news for Indianapolis. Where on this play, it's a good zone buster. You have two receivers who are going to run routes to the right side of the screen. One just runs straight up, and he's going to run into a Buffalo defender who's furthest to the right. Then you have another receiver who's going to run further right than the Buffalo defender who's furthest to the right, and he'll get open. Watch. Kyler Murray takes the snap, and you see this is working out perfectly. Exactly what you want to have happen. And again, these plays are easy to run when you know what coverage is coming. And if they can just have success through the running game, they being Indianapolis, this is how they can build their offense. So now let's talk about the Colts rushing attack, because I think the Colts rushing attack is going to be key here. I think the Colts can definitely run the ball very well. And I think that one of the things that's interesting is that no Anthony Costanzo, their starting left tackle, really good player. He's now out for the year. That should matter, but I don't know if it will so much. They got very creative against Jacksonville. Yes, it was Jacksonville, but it was interesting to see what they did without him. And one of the things they do is they have Quentin Nelson, who's an absolute monster, and they use him. So on this play, you're going to see that Nelson's going to be the guy who's going to set the edge right here against 44 to the right. Or that's what 45 to the right. That's what he's going to do. And then you have, the left tackle is instead going to move up, and he's going to block a linebacker. That's 44. So he's going to block the linebacker. And then you have a receiver actually run in and block a defensive back in the area. So that's what you're doing. So you're still going to use a great offensive lineman to set the edge here. You're just using a guard instead of a tackle, which I think is fun, and it works because Nelson's really good. Watch, Rivers takes the snap. He's going to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor, who at first is looking to go to the left side of the screen, which is to his right. But eventually, gaps are going to get opened up to the right. And again, you see a really good block from Nelson. He's the main guy, but everyone does their job on this one. Yes, it's Jacksonville, but still, good job. Taylor's going to do well in open space. Also, a Jaguars defensive back completely wipes out. That's not going to happen against Buffalo, which created a ton more yards after he got through the hole. But basically, what I'm trying to say here is this Colts rushing attack is really good, and that could be a good matchup. I really think it could be. Another great offensive lineman is right tackle Braden Smith, and right tackles can really have a key impact in the rushing game as well. This is what's going to happen on this one. It's going to be a double team, and then the right guard gets off the double team to block a linebacker. So it is a double team, but the double team isn't even really that important. What I really want you to watch is just how Smith is going to move 58 for Jacksonville here. I mean, he just basically completely takes them entirely out of the way, which makes things really easy for Taylor to get to that second level. So that's what Indianapolis can do to the Jaguars. Will they be able to do that to Buffalo? Not quite, but again, Buffalo's run defense has been mediocre this year, and I really do think that Indianapolis's run offense is better than people realize. I think it's really good. And so then if Indianapolis forces Buffalo into zone, they're actually really, as I sort of mentioned earlier, they're really good at these zone buster type plays. Jacksonville is faking as though they're playing man, but they're not. They are playing zone coverage right here in a goal line situation. And the route is going to be T.Y. Hilton's route, just getting in that little gap in coverage. Hilton is great at zone coverage. He knows exactly where to go. He's a veteran. He knows where to get to make sure that he can get these plays. And him and Rivers have found a connection these past, 4 or 5 weeks. Rivers takes the snap. He's also great at reading zone, makes a quick throw. They get a touchdown. That's what you're going up against for Buffalo. And I think that this offense could do really well against the Bills' defense. I think they could. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than some people might realize on that side of the ball. I think people expect Buffalo to score a lot of points, and I think people expect Indianapolis to not score that many points. That's not going to be the case. It really isn't. Now, let's get to my scoring again. I'm going to actually make one slight change. As I made this video, I figured, you know what? I think that I was a little bit too short on Buffalo's points. I think Buffalo scores 27 points, not 24, so giving them an extra 3. But I also think that one of the clear X factors is Buffalo. They have a really bad red zone defense. They have one of the worst red zone defenses in the NFL. Currently, it's at 28th best in terms of red zone defense. I think that's an issue. And I think that this Indianapolis Colts team, I think they'll be able to get these longer drives. I think that they will be able to get the ball into the end zone. I'm going to do it. You know what? Why not? I'm doing predictions. Let's have some fun with it. I am going to give the Indianapolis Colts 28 points. I'll say the Colts upset the Bills 28-27 in round 1 of the playoffs. How do you like that? Is it going to happen? I don't know. It's super close, but I really do think that this is major upset potential, and I would not be shocked at all to see Indianapolis win this football game. I really wouldn't. Well, because I said that, there's certainly going to be a bunch of dislikes on this video because people don't like hearing opinions that they disagree with, or maybe people just think my opinion is dumb. That's also totally fair. But you know what? Feel free to tell me why you disagree in the comments below, or maybe do you think I'm right? Is what I'm saying make sense? Because I honestly feel like this is... Clearly, I think the Bills are a better team. I think this is a good matchup for Indianapolis, and I really think that there's major upset potential here. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.